All right, everyone, welcome to another deep dive with us. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's probably going to be very real for you soon. Um, Getting pregnant. I know you're probably thinking about tiny socks and sleepless nights, but there's a whole lot more to it than that.
Yeah, a journey. A journey that starts way before you even see a bump.
That's right. And our mission today is to kind of equip you with the knowledge you need so you can navigate the exciting and sometimes kind of confusing path to conception.
And we're talking to first-time parents to be here, so this is new to you.
Yeah, it's like we're kind of playing detective today, figuring out how to make a tiny human. I remember the basic birds and the bees talk, but I'm pretty sure there's more to it than what I learned back then.
Oh, definitely. Let's start with the basics. We all know that the sperm needs to meet the egg, right? But did you know there's like a very specific time when that can actually happen? It's called the fertility window, and it's about 2 weeks before a woman's period. So timing is everything when it comes to conception.
Okay, so timing is key. But what happens when the timing is perfect and things still aren't quite moving along? I've heard the term subfertility.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Subfertility, that's basically when a couple has been trying to get pregnant for a year with no luck. It's actually more common than you might think, and thankfully a lot of times it's treatable. But this is where things get interesting because there's a lot of different factors.
So it's not as easy as 1 + 1 = baby.
Not quite. It's more like a really complicated dance with multiple partners, and just like any dance, it takes two to tango. There are things that can affect both the man and the woman when it comes to fertility.
Okay, so it's a team effort. What kinds of things could affect a man's ability to, get the job done?
Oh, there's a lot of different possibilities, from hormones to lifestyle choices. But one thing that might surprise you, certain medications can actually have side effects that can impact sperm production. Some men don't even realize it until they start trying for a baby.
Wait, seriously. Medications can mess with sperm. That's a
Oh.
pretty big deal that I don't think a lot of people are aware of.
Yeah, one study found that men who were taking certain antidepressants had a much lower sperm count than those who weren't taking them. It just shows how important it is to talk to your doctor about all your medications, especially when you're thinking about starting a family.
Okay, I'm taking notes. So what about women? What are some things that could affect their fertility?
Well, one that comes up a lot is endometriosis. It's where tissue that's similar to the lining of the womb starts to grow outside of the womb, which can be really painful. And sometimes it can even affect your chances of getting pregnant.
Endometriosis. I've heard of it, but I don't really understand it. Is it easy to spot?
It's not always easy to diagnose, unfortunately. You can't just see it during a regular checkup. And the symptoms can be different for everyone. Some women have really painful periods, others might have pain during sex, or even problems with their bowel movements.
Wow, that sounds really rough. So if someone's having those kind of symptoms, that's definitely a sign to go see a doctor. Right.
Absolutely. Endometriosis is just one example of why it's so important to get diagnosed early when it comes to fertility. The sooner you know what's going on, the sooner you can start exploring treatment options and get on the right track.
So when should you officially, wave the red flag and get some help?
The general rule is if you've been trying to conceive for 12 months without success, it's definitely time to see a doctor. And this is where that teamwork we talked about earlier really comes in. You should both go to the doctor together.
Like a tag team match against infertility.
Exactly. Having both partners involved from the start really helps make sure that everyone's on the same page and you're both getting the support and information you need.
Right. And it's important for both people to be there for the whole process.
Absolutely.
Because it affects both people.
Absolutely.
Not just the person who's,
Right.
carrying the baby.
It's a shared journey.
Yeah.
It's from the very beginning.
It's so...
And speaking of the beginning,
Yeah.
that initial visit to the doctor, that can be a little overwhelming,
Oh, for sure.
especially when you're dealing with something as sensitive as fertility.
Yeah. And there's so many questions. Where do you even start?
That's a great question. And it brings up another really important part of this whole journey, being proactive about your healthcare.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice?
It means being your own advocate. Don't be afraid to ask your doctor all the questions you have. They're your partner in this process. And open communication is key.
Okay, so what kind of questions should we be asking?
Well, first and foremost, be honest with your doctor about your medical history, any medications you're taking, and any concerns you have. Don't be shy about asking about possible causes of your subfertility, treatment options, and what to expect during the process.
So basically just be totally upfront and don't hold anything back.
Exactly. You want to make sure you understand everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Ask about success rates, the potential risks and side effects of different treatments, and what the emotional and financial impact might be. And don't forget to ask about support groups or resources that are available in your area.
That's all really good advice. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
And the more you know,
Yeah.
the more confident you'll feel throughout this whole process.
Exactly.
Which actually brings us to our final thought for today. We've covered a lot of information, but the main thing to remember is this. You are not alone in this journey.
Yeah.
And with the right knowledge and support, you can achieve your dream of becoming a parent.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a little homework assignment for you.
Ooh.
Think about everything we talked about today and write down any questions that come to mind. Then do a little research, maybe check out some online forums or support groups, and go into those doctor's appointments feeling prepared and confident.
Love that.
Be your own advocate.
Yes, be empowered.
Yes.
Take charge of your journey.
And remember, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to this. Whether you conceive naturally, or explore fertility treatments, or choose adoption, what matters most is the love and commitment you bring to building your family.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We are so glad you joined us for this deep dive into the world of conception and family planning. It's a journey that can be confusing and challenging at times, but it's also full of hope and excitement.
Definitely.
And has the incredible potential to create a family filled with love.
And remember, no matter what twists and turns you face along the way, we're here to support you.
Absolutely. We're sending you all the good vibes and positive energy as you embark on this incredible adventure. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. And best of luck on your journey to parenthood.
And for women over 35, it might be a good idea to talk to your doctor even sooner.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Sometimes those treatments aren't as successful as you get older, so getting a head start can really make a difference.
So let's say a couple's been trying for a while. They've seen the doctor. Now they're ready to look at some treatment options. What kinds of things might they be considering?
Well, there's a whole bunch of possibilities. From pretty simple things to more complex procedures, it really depends on the couple.
Okay, so walk me through it. What might be a good first step for someone who's just starting to explore fertility treatments?
Well, one option that a lot of people consider early on is intrauterine insemination, or IUI for short. It's basically where we collect a sperm sample and concentrate the healthy sperm, and then we place it directly into the woman's uterus, right around the time she's ovulating.
So it's like giving the sperm a little extra help getting where they need to go.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, if IUI doesn't work, or if there are more complicated factors affecting fertility, then in vitro fertilization, or IVF, might be the next step. And this is where things get really interesting, because it involves actually creating embryos in a lab.
Hold on, you're telling me they can create an embryo outside the body? That's wild. How did that even work?
Of course. So first we stimulate the ovaries to produce multiple eggs, then we retrieve those eggs and fertilize them with sperm in the lab. We watch those embryos as they develop, and then we choose the healthiest one or two to transfer back into the woman's uterus.
Wow, that is incredible. It's like science fiction becoming reality. But I imagine that whole process must be pretty intense, both emotionally and physically.
Oh, you're absolutely right. IVF is a big commitment.
Yeah.
And it can be a real roller coaster of emotions. There are hormone injections, frequent monitoring appointments, and then the waiting game to see if the embryo actually implants. It's not easy.
I bet. And I imagine it's not exactly cheap either.
You're right. The financial side of things can be a big challenge for a lot of couples. IVF can be really expensive, and not all insurance plans cover it.
So it's a big decision. And it's important to have realistic expectations going in. But what about couples who decide that IVF isn't right for them? For whatever reason, are there other options?
Absolutely. Remember, adoption is a wonderful and fulfilling way to become a parent. It's a loving choice that creates families in a different way.
That's so important to remember. It's easy to get caught up in the world of fertility treatments.
Yeah.
And forget that there are other ways to build a family.
Exactly. There are so many different types of adoption, from domestic to international, and each one has its own things to think about. It's important to do your research and figure out what feels right for you.
So no matter what path you choose, it's about finding what works best for your situation and your values.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So let's be real, even hearing all of this can feel a little overwhelming. I remember when I was first learning about all this stuff, I felt like I needed a medical dictionary just to keep up.
Totally. It's like a whole new language.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you mentioned earlier that it's important for couples to go to the doctor together. when they're
Yeah.
dealing with subfertility. But once you're actually in that doctor's office, what are some key questions you should be asking?
That's a great question. And it brings up another really important part of this journey, being proactive about your healthcare.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice?
It means being your own advocate. Don't be afraid to ask your doctor all the questions you have. They're your partner in this process, and open communication is key.
Okay, so what kind of questions should we be asking?
Well, first of all, be honest with your doctor about your medical history, any medications you're taking, and any concerns you have. Don't be shy about asking about possible causes of your subfertility, treatment options,
Yeah.
and what to expect during the process.
So basically just be totally upfront and don't hold anything back.
Exactly. You want to make sure you understand everything that's going on.
Right.
Ask about success rates, the potential risks and side effects of different treatments, and what the emotional and financial impact might be. And don't forget to ask about support groups or resources that are available in your area.
That's all really good advice. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
And the more you know,
Yeah.
the more confident you'll feel throughout this whole process.
Exactly.
Which actually brings us to our final thought for today.
Huh.
We've thrown a lot of info at you today. But the biggest takeaway is this. You're not alone in this. And with the right info and support, you can make your dream of being a parent happen.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a little homework assignment for you guys.
Ooh, homework.
Yeah. Think about everything we talked about.
Yeah.
And write down any questions you have. Then do some more research on your own. Check out some online forums or support groups. And walk into those doctor appointments feeling confident and prepared.
Love that.
Be your own advocate.
Yes. Be empowered.
Yeah.
Take control of your journey to parenthood.
And remember, there's no one right way to do this. Whether you conceive naturally or go through fertility treatments or choose adoption. What matters most is the love and commitment you bring to building your family.
Perfectly said.
We're so glad you joined us for this deep dive into the world of conception and family planning. It can be a confusing and challenging journey, but it's also filled with hope and excitement
For sure.
and so much potential to create a family full of love.
And remember, no matter what twists and turns come up along the way, we're here to support you.
We are sending you all the good vibes as you start this incredible adventure. Thanks for tuning into the deep dive, and best of luck on your journey to parenthood.